Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Pressed for Time. I am your host, Tyler Nethers, joined as always by Benny Rose.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to this beautiful, rainy, dreary day here where I live. It looks bright and sunny by you, Benny.
Yeah, it's very overcast, but it is warmer than it's been over here in New Jersey. It is a nice brisk 65, which
Nice.
it's been a lot of 40s. And we had snow on my birthday, which was weird because it's the first like legitimate snow the whole day. It didn't stick, but it like snowed the whole day. So
I
that
don't know
was
anything
weird.
about that.
Yeah, I
Mm-mm.
know, right? What's that? Is
Yeah, exactly. No,
that
this
styrofoam
nice,
coming out of the sky?
this nice Louisiana weather. It's up in the 80s right now. We did have a
What
cold
a
snap.
dynamic.
We had a cold snap, Benny. Let me tell you, I had to put a jacket on to take my daughter to the bus. It was 62 degrees
Oh my God.
yesterday.
You
Oh,
need help.
it was frigid. It was
Listen, man,
absolutely frigid.
there was a time when that one time I went to E3 and I stayed with my buddy and former bandmate Tom Pino from Ghost of Eden and Neo Arcadia. I crashed with him and we would take me to the beach and stuff like that, like the boardwalk and whatnot. And there was one night, like we were hanging out, and he's like, "Oh, we got to go back to my house. I got to get a jacket." I'm like, "Bro, it's like 71 degrees." He's like, "Yeah, it's cold." He's like, "I know I'm from New York, but I've adapted to the warm weather."
You
He's like,
do.
"It's." I'm like, "That's insane. I'm over there in shorts
Uh-huh.
and 70, and I'm in my glory." Ah, I kind of
Yep.
wish I had warmer weather, but I get it. I get it. That's cool though.
It's nice.
But how's things otherwise, brother?
Good. So I've been accused of being a shill, if you would
Okay.
believe it, because I've brought up Raid Shadow Legends a couple times on our videos. And most people that talk about Raid Shadow Legends only do so because they're getting paid, because that's how most mobile gotcha games get word of mouth, is by paying creators to talk about it. But I will tell you, I am not a shill. And so every 2 weeks in raid, if you're in a clan, they do clan versus clan battles, where basically everybody in your clan tries to rack up as many points as possible, and the more points you get, the more rewards you get, and you battle against another clan who's trying to rack up as many points as they can. So you basically you're fighting the other clan by doing your own stuff. So it's PVE, but
Got it.
you rack up points. And I'm in a pretty great clan. The guy that runs our clan, actually, Mark, he is a supporter of the show, and he watches all the episodes and gives me feedback and stuff like that. And I sent him a Press for Time shirt and a Press for Time mug. So
Awesome.
he was out repping Press for Time the other day. So Mark, thank you, one, for listening, two, for being awesome. Yeah, exactly. But no, so he runs the clan. I met him through Raid Shadow Legends, and he runs the clan that we're in. And we they took a month off of clan versus clan for the fourth anniversary. So we had a whole month of saving up resources and stuff to do this clan versus clan, and we absolutely mopped the floor with the other team over the weekend. Well,
Interesting.
over it's they run on Tuesday and they run until close of business Wednesday. So you've got all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday to compete. Um,
Interesting.
and we absolutely slaughtered the other clan. So it was pretty great. It's pretty good clan, pretty fun game, and I really like the folks that I've met in there. We have our own Discord channel and everything else. And for a game that I downloaded and checked out as a favor to a friend that was doing an ad through Twitch, where basically he got enough people to sign up for the game and play through the tutorial, he got a pretty sizable payout. And I downloaded it just to get through the tutorial for him, and I was hooked. And I have played. There's a little tracker, like you get daily login rewards, and I've played for like 260 days straight now.
Yikes.
Yeah,
All right,
play
so I don't
every
feel
day.
so bad with my Fortnite time frame because of
Mm.
that. I saw my hours the other day, like complete, like because I was looking at Resident Evil. For those that know, as of the recording, my Resident Evil 4 remake review is up on GamingAge.com. We're gonna try to do a show spoiler cast maybe in the week or two, once Tyler gets some time with the game. But I wanted to see how many hours I've played since getting the early review code, and it said I was at 31 hours as of right
Nice.
now. And then I decided to get myself upset and look at my Fortnite hours. And I really wish I didn't, because it was
Nasty.
already bad for last year. It's over 700 hours.
Nasty.
send
Nasty.
send help. And I mean, not for
No.
nothing, because of the plethora of games that I enjoy coming out this year, I have been playing significantly less. Thankfully, I'm not really into this season so far,
You're a
so
sick man.
I might be taking a break. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they did put out Leon and Claire yesterday in the shop, so I had to buy that.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh my
sucker,
God.
sucker.
Yeah, I've stayed as a free to play player on Raid. I don't spend money. Well, I guess technically I do. I buy the monthly pass, like the battle pass every month, because
Yeah,
it gets you a bunch of stuff, but I don't play it
to
like
that
actively.
point.
So like right now, my phone is sitting next to me on the desk and the game is running because the game runs itself. So the majority of what you need to do is build your champions, build your characters, and then it's gear management, and then the game you can set it up to auto battle. So like you see I'm on multi battle 16 of 26 or whatever, so I've got 26 battles that it's going to run in a row for me, and then when it's all done,
Interesting.
I net all my rewards from the battles. So I'll set it up and let the game run, and then go through, manage my inventory. It's very Diablo-esque in that way. It's very
Interesting.
stats heavy. You farm for gear pieces, and you may get 100 pieces of the same gear, but you only need one with very specific stats.
Got
So
it.
you'll farm over and over and over again for incremental upgrades to stats. Like, hey, I need 10% more crit rate. So I'm looking for gloves that have crit rate as the primary stat, and go from there.
Got it.
But
Okay. That's a little bit over my head, but that's okay. We do
that was your
have
deep dive into Raid Shadow Legends.
I mean, we'll do deep dives into my games one day, but today is a very casual episode, as you can tell. We're just kind of shooting the shit, if you will. There's nothing too crazy going on. We have had some great shows with some great people. We have some really awesome stuff lined up for the next month or two coming forward. And we figured the most important thing out of the show for us is our friendship, how we have been working together for so long, and we've yet to meet each other in person. We've talked about that briefly.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, we're kind of in different states and stuff like that. So there's that challenge, but we also connected pre-COVID, and now kind of I hate to be meta again, but COVID has brought us closer because we have these abilities, and the Zoom thing kind of really helped evolve us to be able to talk more.
Yeah.
So you know I just wanted to have a nice casual show, and we'll definitely do more of these down the line too. And we figure we could take a little time to get to know each other a little better, because we speak a little bit offline. And one of the things that I learned was Tyler has never seen Child's Play,
Nope.
and I didn't know what to say to that. And it not in a negative way, just like it's crazy. And we have some guests, which is awesome.
Yes, I have my children. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to briefly pause the recording, and then we will resume in a moment. We will be right back. All right. Interruption has been dealt with.
Crisis averted.
Yes.
Parenthood 101, ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen.
Again, we are pressed for time, full-time dads, part-time everything else.
Yeah, it's we were just briefly talking about Child's Play and
Yeah.
what a core part of my life it is. And I mean, I know a lot of people that have not seen it, but somebody that I know you like horror, I was a
Yeah.
little surprised.
And
So I
movies.
mean, yeah,
It's just something that I've totally missed. The concept of the doll being scary never really worked for me. So I
now
just
let me ask you why. Do you feel like it's not scary, or do you feel like nope, I don't want to deal with that?
oh no,
Just
yeah,
that.
it just seems not scary.
Okay,
Like
fair enough.
the concept did not interest me that much. I watched Megan this year and had the same problem. I
Not
thought that
intimidating.
was, man, that was a bad movie to begin with. But um no, but I'm totally open to check it out. Like I said, I've just never, it's never been one that has popped up. There are so many movies
Right.
that I try to watch and want to watch. It's never been one that's popped up on my
Okay.
like need to watch list. But now it's moved its way up.
Too kind. Well, I will leave you with this. As a diehard fan of the franchise, there is a lot that, may turn you off, more than some of the other content. I will say, at the minimum, trying the original and the second. Three's okay, but one and two are standouts for a lot of reasons. They both have pretty varied dynamics as far as how the pacing of the movies go.
Yeah.
I feel the first one is much darker in tone. It is an earlier movie, but I was fortunate enough to see Child's Play 2 as like a 7, 8 year old.
Yeah.
So like that was a big deal for me. I saw that in the theater, dude. So can you imagine being a child and seeing that?
It's definitely one that I'll check out. Like you were saying the other day offline, if we could set up like a watch party or something and watch it together,
Yes, I
that
would
would be
totally
key.
love to do that. I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if there's something like that can be streamed. We
As
don't
long as we
show
don't
the
stream the film.
exactly, that could be cool. We take a day, plan that out, get some popcorn, like literally
Yeah,
just like veg out.
I
I
like
think that'd
it.
be cool. Excuse me. So I think that it would be cool. Maybe I pick that movie, and maybe you pick a movie that maybe I haven't seen, and then we can
Nice.
kind of do back and forth because this is something that I've done with Paul on Media Mastermind, but it's usually like we kind of recommend the movie to each other, and then we'll just talk about it. But I think
Yeah.
it'd be cool to elevate that and actually like try to watch it in this world where we can connect like that
Yeah.
and like a digital theater, if you will. I wonder
Mm-hmm.
if we could do it maybe even in the Meta Quest.
You certainly can. Well, I guess I
So
haven't done it in Quest. I used to do it in the Index all the time. So when
right.
I had the Index and me and my buddies, again, we're just going to talk about COVID every episode, I think. But and COVID first kicked off, I had my core group and we would go to the movies every single week. We would go watch, well, not every week. Every single week there was a movie we wanted to watch. We were in the theater. So we tried to go every week. And once COVID hit and theaters shut down and it just wasn't safe to go do that, we set up a virtual theater inside VR and we would all get together and I would stream movies from my digital library and
Nice.
throw it up there and it would put you in a real movie theater. It's you got movie theater seating, you got the big giant, 180-inch screen or whatever.
Right.
It was a good time.
That's
So
really
yes,
cool.
that's something
We'll
we
have
should
to
be
look
able to
into
do.
that, ladies and gentlemen, and then we
Yeah.
could talk about it. That'd be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So let's do a little bit of, as I said, we'll kind of consider this getting to know you a little more.
Yeah.
You know, Tell me a little bit about like how you got into games, maybe your parents, siblings, like what was your life like as a kid? I know we've spoken a little bit about Resident Evil and how you got introduced to that a little
Mm-hmm.
later in the game, but
Yeah.
like where did gaming start for you and your passion for movies and stuff like that?
So all stems from my dad, both sides of that. Um, my dad was a huge tabletop gamer. He was a D&D guy growing up. Like that was his thing. He and his buddies would get together and they'd play D&D for 6 days straight over the summer. They'd camp out and they'd just play D&D. So he was big into that, and he was a very, very early adopter of the NES and the SNES. So both of those consoles were in my house when I was a kid. And I remember I'd play Duck Hunt and go right up to the screen and shoot the ducks with the gun and cheat.
Nice.
And, I'd play Mario and Star Fox. Oh my God. I used to play the shit out of Star Fox. I was terrible at it. I don't know if I ever made it past the first level as a kid, but I would just
Little
play it
corn area.
over. Yeah. I would just play it over and over and over and over again. Um,
Well, look.
yeah. And, so my dad would play though, and I would watch him play like the harder games. Like I vaguely remember him playing Contra. I vaguely remember a Star Wars game that
Super
was,
Nintendo, probably.
yeah, it was on
Super,
Super Nintendo. Yep.
Super Star Wars.
Yeah, and it was hard as fucking nails.
Yep,
Um,
still
I
are.
I remember watching him, and he could tear through Contra in a couple minutes. There was that way that you could like do the thing. I was a kid. I
Yep.
don't remember a lot of the
Up,
specifics.
up, down, down, left, right, BA start, ladies and gentlemen. That is the
Yeah.
Konami code.
Yep. So my dad did all that shit. I mean, he would blast through Contra, and he would sit and play Super Star Wars or whatever. And yeah, I remember him just getting so frustrated. He would get so mad. He'd put it down, and he'd like, "Fuck this! I'm going to do something else." Um,
And the first one
so
was brutal because you didn't get like a lightsaber till later on in the game.
right, and you just have a blaster.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what I remember. And then
Awesome.
of course getting into Donkey Kong, which was the first game that I got good at. Like that was the first. It was Donkey Kong Country, so that would have been on the SNES.
Yeah.
That was the first one that became my game. And I remember going through and getting to the B boss and how excited I was the first time I beat the boss. And I played that a lot. And then the GameCube came out, and that was so big for me. It was getting into the GameCube. I had a PlayStation 1. I didn't play very many games. I played Crash Bandicoot a lot on the PS1, and my dad played Crash Bandicoot a lot, but that was where he stopped. So he stopped at the PlayStation 1 and the GameCube, and that was as high as he ever went into gaming. And then I basically picked up the baton from there and ran with it. The last joint experience I have was us playing Animal Crossing on the GameCube. And we would stay up way later than we were supposed to, long after my mom was like, no, he needs to be in bed, up fishing on Animal Crossing, trying to catch red snappers to sell them for bells and pay off our debts to old Tom Nook.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was
that
huge.
sounds like an awesome memory, man.
Yeah. And then movies the exact same way. My dad's just like me. He was a huge physical media collector. He had hundreds of VHSs, thousands of DVDs. Again, he was a really early adopter for the DVD. And he basically went through and tried to recreate his entire VHS collection on DVD. So I had this massive library of movies to choose from as a kid on DVD. So there were movies that I would watch with him, and then there were the movies I would steal from his shelves and watch at night by myself that I wasn't allowed to watch. So stealing things like Death Sentence, as like a 10-year-old, 12-year-old boy, and getting into that, and Death Race and things with death in the title, because I was, a young boy.
You're a
like,
teen that was curious.
Exactly. So that really he really instilled an appreciation, not just for watching movies, but an actual appreciation for the art of filmmaking and quality. But he was never a snob. He would go watch high quality, good movies, and he would watch bad movies and be like, it's still fun. You can turn your brain off and have a good time watching a bad movie, and you can sit down and focus and get something out of a good movie. So he taught me that distinction, which I think has helped me grow into a well-rounded film buff without being a snob, without being somebody that's like, no, that's not cinema or whatever.
Not quality.
Yeah. Now, I am kind of snobby. Like, I'll look at stuff and be like, I like this. This is not cinema. Like, I agree with Martin Scorsese's takes on the Marvel films and stuff. And he didn't mean that negatively. He said it's a theme park ride, and it absolutely is. What the fuck is wrong with going to a theme park? He wasn't saying it in a bad
popcorn
way.
Flicks.
Exactly. And he's fine with that. He was just saying, hey, it's important that we maintain a distinction between cinema and movies.
Right.
Which I agree
Makes
with.
Sense.
I'm good with that. I own all the Marvel movies, even the bad ones. I also own 300 plus Criterion films. I've got the complete Akira Kurosawa collection. I mean, I love film. but I love movies. So it's a well-rounded way to be, and I think I owe all that to my dad. So
That's awesome. Really, really cool. I'm really happy to get to learn that about you. And I hear a lot of similarities with us, which is really
yeah,
cool. Because I would say my dad is the same connection for me. You know,
exactly.
as you know, I was born and raised in the world of comic books and movies and video games and
Hmm.
toys.
Hmm.
It was literally, my dad's first comic store was in the same apartment building as where we lived. So he would literally go downstairs and go to work. And when he opened his second store, which was named Memory Lane, was literally across the street. So it was just a walk away. It wasn't very far. And I was there all the time. And, it started off with just comics and arcade games. My dad in the first store had a plethora of arcade games. We had Paperboy, we had Gauntlet, we had Tron, we had Robotron. Um, and I got to be around that. And I had a good relationship on the gaming side more with my mother because my mother and I would play games together. So
Hmm.
my mom is the reason I got into Zelda, which I am so thankful for because we connected with the original Legend of Zelda. She loved it and she'd play it a lot. We'd play it together. But then we'd also play a ton of Gauntlet. Like my mom
Yeah.
used to work like in telecommunications. So when she'd come home, she'd be in her uniform and everything, but I'd be in the store and then we'd go in the back. And I remember sitting there playing Gauntlet with her for, a good amount of time.
Yeah.
And as the store changed, got to the other store, times changed. We became to get into the 90s. We started getting into the world of NES, SNES, Genesis. My dad was an early adopter as well as a lot of, you know, nerds like us, but he did it more in the business side. He was one of the first stores to have the Sega Genesis. And we had those first day packs with Altered Beast, and we had the Game Gear, and we had tons of Super Nintendo games. And then we were selling toys like behind me, the Toy Biz toys, and, a little bit of everything. And,
Yeah.
tons of anime, early anime days. So we're talking going to conventions, picking up VHS tapes, most of these movies not even having subtitles. Like you're importing and watching and
Yeah.
guessing and just appreciating.
Uh-huh.
Like I remember watching Akira before it was dubbed. Then when it was poorly dubbed that first time in the 90s, I remember watching Doraemon movies and never to this day having subtitles, knowing what the
Yeah.
hell's going on. And then for my big one was Astro Boy. I was a
Okay.
big Astro Boy nut as a kid. So was my dad. And we would have Robotech, Macross was a big part of my life too as a kid. And yeah, as we went on, my dad had a VHS collection as well.
Hmm.
And as we got older and time went on, I got to that point of, living on my own at a young age. And I adopted the ability to, hey, I could buy my own stuff. I'm working now. And I'd go out and start buying my first movies, working at Best Buy, dangerous
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Getting discounts on movies was bad news. I probably have 3,000 movies in my house between DVDs, HD DVDs,
Yeah. I've got
and,
a couple of those floating around.
and Blu-rays and 4K Blu-rays.
Yeah.
Just insane. So I love that we have that connection. Yeah, the gaming stuff was really a little bit of, from my dad selling it and then me getting involved with it. And then my mom, being an adopter with Zelda. And then just me discovering Castlevania and Mega
Yeah.
Man. And just from there, just playing a lot of games. Like I was very fortunate at that age. I had a very large NES collection, to the point where my dad was like, we might be able to be profitable with this. Why don't we bring your games across the street to the store? We can rent them out. And half the money I keep, half the money is your allowance. So if we rent games, you can take home whatever you want whenever you want. I think I had 350 games easily.
Whew.
So he used to have them in the showcase, but then
Yeah.
kids weren't returning them. That was the big. So I started losing my games left and right. So
Yeah.
that was rough. And then I never saw the money. That money never materialized. I got
Right.
money in gifts and toys otherwise. So
Yeah.
I had it all, dude. I was very, very lucky. And then as I mentioned, I got older. I got humble real quick at a young age, about 16, living on my own, figuring it out. And I've been doing that since. And you kind of come first full circle, and
Hmm.
I've been able to kind of create my own collection, work hard, and be that collector that I've always been. And I'm happy to be able to share the passion with you, dude. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's really awesome.
It's funny. So I hadn't even thought about it until you brought it up. My mom was also the Zelda player in the house. And she's the one that got me playing Zelda, originally playing Link to the Past. And I remember her telling me a story when I was a kid that when she was pregnant with me, she would sit and she would put the controller on her belly while I was kicking. And she was like, "That was your first time playing a video game. You would kick the buttons through my stomach." I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, that's really funny."
that's awesome.
Um, but yeah, you
Very
brought up the
cool.
job. My very first job that I applied for, I wasn't even 16 yet. The movie theater by me would hire you at 15 as long as you had a reliable ride. And I snagged that job immediately. I had my dad take me out to buy me a new suit, and I went in and interviewed for a part-time movie theater job in a full suit. I mean, full suit, jacket, tie, the whole 9 yards. Went in, and the manager was like, "Yeah, you can work here. You want to come sweep up the floors of popcorn?" And you came in a full suit. Awesome. Yes. I don't care how old you are. Um,
That's awesome.
so if you work at the theater, you can watch as many movies as you want. So after the
Right.
theater would shut down, we could go up, me and the other folks that I worked with, because I became really good friends with a lot of those people. We would go up into the projection booth and load whatever we wanted to watch. And we'd stay and watch stuff before it was released, stuff that, we'd watch stuff after we closed. And then my next job I got to pair with that was GameStop. It's like, I'm going to work at the
Go
movie
figure.
theater and at GameStop. And then once I had more time on my hands, I started working at Subway. So I would get free food to take to the movie theater, and then I would work at GameStop and
Get
take
a
home
shitty
video
discount.
games.
Well,
Well,
you get to
you
borrow
get
the
to borrow the
games.
games. Exactly.
That's
I was like, so I don't have to pay for video games. I don't have to pay for movies, and I don't have to pay for Subway because you would get a free sandwich. And then no cops are going to come after me at this point, but our manager didn't give a shit. And she was like, "Take all the food you want. I don't fucking care. It's Subway." We would stay after on weekends, and she would use the gas masks that we were supposed to use to cut onions. She converted them, and the whole store would get together and smoke weed out of the out of the gas masks behind the Subway. She did not give a fuck. So we would go to Subway, get high, can just take all the food we could possibly get out of the store.
that's
So,
hilarious, dude.
and you're making it yourself. So you're stoned as a motherfucker, loading up
Making
Subway
the
sandwiches.
concoctions.
Just, dude, you would just put everything on it and be sloughing off the damn sub because the subs would be stacked this fucking high.
That's hilarious, dude.
It was awesome, man. And it only lasted for, it only lasted there for about a year. The manager obviously didn't keep her job for too
Right.
long.
That
But
seems to be a long time for her too, though.
yeah, yeah. It was a good job though. I really enjoyed it. One of my buddies that I used to work with there, I'm still friends with. He went on to become a pretty successful music producer and rapper.
Nice.
He makes beats, and you can check him out sometime online. It's Nito Beats on Twitter and Instagram, and he makes some fantastic music for some of the biggest rappers out there right now. So
Sweet. Good
yeah.
stuff. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but I had a lot of jobs, as I started. And my first on the books job was actually, um, I don't know if you remember, because I don't know if they were in every state, but there used to be like a skateboard type shop called Blades Board and Skate. and it was like, snowboards, skateboards, rollerblades, and they
We
had
had a
opened
place like
one.
that by me, but it was called Demented Skate Shop. But I'm
Okay,
familiar with what
yeah,
you're talking about, just not the name.
yeah. This was more of like a corporate entity, so there was definitely a handful of them around.
Right.
But yeah, I worked there for a tiny bit my freshman year of school, and then I worked at a golf, mini golf slash go kart slash bumper kart place called Safari Golf. That
Very
was
cool.
making $5 an hour on the books. Actually, 5.15 because that was the minimum wage at the time. But in between that and before that, I was working a lot of off the books jobs, and I worked at a bunch of mom and pop video game stores.
Yeah.
So I adopted, helping my dad in his store, which unfortunately, it didn't last, past like the mid 90s. But after that, I wanted to get involved somewhere in the gaming world. So I worked in stores in Brooklyn, New York. I worked in Staten Island at a place called Game Champ, and I was there for a good amount of time. And I was there for like the PS2 launch, and
Yeah.
we used to sell the consoles for $700. We were the only store that had them. We did mod chips. We did Dragon Ball VHS tapes, which was huge at the time. And I met a lot of people there that I still see and talk to that
Yeah.
like that were customers. Like, hey, you used to sell me these movies, you used to mod my games, and it's really cool over the years. And that there was one time I went to a wrestling event, and then somebody was like, "Oh shit, it's the Game Champ," because they used to have like a commercial on Staten Island cable. And
Hmm.
back in the day, I had long hair and a ponytail, and I was in the commercial. Like, they're like, "All right, help the girl, and we'll film you." And it was
That's
me in the
awesome.
commercial, and the commercial used to air during like Monday Night Raw, like on
Oh
Staten
man, if
Island
you could
cable. It was
find
really
that
cool.
commercial, we need to
I've
add
been
that into the
looking for
show.
years, dude. Oh, I
That'd be
wish.
so cool.
But yeah, so I mean, from there, again, I've mentioned it in the previous shows. I've worked in just about every video game store that was in my vicinity.
Yeah.
Game Champ, Funko Land, EB Games, you name it, and then Best Buy, of course. But yeah, fast forward to now, just loving that I can watch and play just about anything I want and not having enough time to do it.
Yep.
The
That's
harsh
the
reality.
struggle. Hmm.
Yeah. I have this awesome, amazing office that I'm usually working all day with the day job and don't get to appreciate, but I'm grateful to have it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, balances in life.
Yep.
But no, it's really cool, dude. So I'd say we could probably wrap it up soon.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know if
that's
you want
great.
to, yeah, do you want to like maybe talk about a game that we're playing together? Like, in a sense, like we're both playing the same game, because I think that's cool when we do that because it gives us a little bit of dialogue. Like we're not playing the game in a co-op sense, but
Yeah.
we will be playing a VR one soon. I just wanted to ask, how are you enjoying originally it was called Grim Guardians, but now it's called Gal Guardians. There were some
Hmm.
legal issues with the company,
Yeah.
with the name. The name had to get changed, but it's like a Metroidvania-esque
Hmm.
game that has like two-player capability, which is very
Yeah.
unique for that type of game.
Extremely.
You're playing it, I believe, on the Switch,
Yeah.
and I'm playing it on PlayStation. Just curious what you thought so
It's a
far.
blast, man. It's a
It's really,
blast. It's
really,
a
it's unique.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can obviously see the Metroidvania stuff, and there's a good bit. It's almost become to the point where it's now a Dead Cells like, not even because Dead Cells, was off of a
Yes,
Metroidvania. This reminds me a lot of Dead Cells, but in a very unique way. Like the way that the story kind of unfolds and the way that the land unfolds, I think in my
as you
experience hasn't been
progress.
done. Yeah. Yeah, it's done in a way that's very different than most of the other games of this type.
Right.
Um, and it's just been a blast. It's been something that I don't like sit down for an extended period and play it, but anytime I have downtime that I'm like, oh, I could pick up my Switch, I do, and that's what I'm playing.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it too. I do like the diversity between the two different characters, and obviously when you're playing alone, you have the ability to switch between the two. I like that one has more of a weapon that's like a gun, which is
Hmm.
not what you usually expect in those types of games. So it's a good dynamic change because the characters definitely handle differently. I like that they give you difficulty options for that type of
Hmm.
game. It's a little more forgiving than many of
Yeah.
those style like games like Dead Cells, where you die, you kind of lose, everything.
Yep.
But if you guys haven't checked it out, definitely check out Gal Guardians. It's a lot of fun. There's tons of Metroidvania clones out there, but it's definitely one that has broken kind of the traditional approach
Yeah.
and has some
It's
really neat features. And it has that Castlevania kind of look,
it does. It
with
looks
the
very
castles
pretty.
and
Even
the
on the Switch. When we had that
yeah.
conversation the other day about how much the Switch sucks, but it looks really good even on the
Yeah.
Switch.
Awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to get your quick bits on that. And
Oh
one
yeah.
thing I will mention, there's a game that I'm working on right now that is also a Metroidvania kind of game. We could talk about that later. I don't know if you've heard of this game, Romancevania.
Oh my God. I saw the email come through. Wasn't it made by the guy that did BioShock?
I believe so. And
Yeah. Yeah. I
it
thought the lead
is
dev from BioShock is the guy that made that. It's like a
it is
passion
out
project.
there, but I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Really?
I just want to leave it there and say like I love it. It's so
Okay.
weird and
I saw the
different.
PR email and I ended up passing on it. Because I was like,
Yeah, I snagged. I mean, it's on my pile. I got a
right, right,
bunch of games
right.
to work on first, but I put it in last night and I played for like a good hour and a half. And I'm like,
Wow.
this is really cool. It's so weird because it's like almost like a dating sim,
Right.
but it's got Metroidvania elements and it's like an action RPG in a sense. Like instead
Interesting.
of leveling up, you get rankings because it's like a TV show. Like
Okay.
the idea is like the Grim Reaper is trying to get Dracula to date again because he's lost his love and he hasn't done
Okay.
anything violent for 1,000 years, and it's throwing the balance of the world. So he's like, you have no choice. I'm gonna get you to redate, and you could change Dracula between male and female if you want. So I kind of
Interesting.
I broke that
Okay.
dynamic, and I decided to go female style Drac, and it just goes by
Yeah.
Drac. And yeah, you meet a bunch of different, like you got big breasted like genie, you got a demon dude that literally has no pants on, and they just have the blur on his crotch area that he's like a total bro, and he's just like all about banging and then there's like a Medusa that's just her head. She's lost her body, so she's
Oh
like
my
on a
God.
statue that's had a relationship with Drac before. Like there's just really cool dynamics, and I figured since we were talking Metroidvania, I'd
Yeah.
bring it up fresh. We will definitely talk about it again, but
That's super cool.
really cool.
They didn't have the balls that Dante's Inferno had then.
Well, I haven't gotten far enough. We don't know, but I don't know if that blur will get uncensored or if it gets
Do you
worse later
remember? Do you remember that in Dante's Inferno? When you're
Yeah.
fighting the devil at the end, and he's just got that massive fucking cock just swinging through the battlefield. And
that
you're
game
supposed to
that,
fight him. Oh my God.
that game was amazing in so
One of
many
my
ways.
favorites of all
Yeah.
time. Still to this day, that's one of my favorite games. Probably the game that I've replayed the most.
I have my Dante figure from Electronics Boutique as a pre-order bonus. One of the best
Yeah.
pre-order bonuses you can get because you
Yeah.
couldn't buy the figure anywhere.
No, I've
Amazing.
got the animated film too.
That was great too. It was
Yeah.
almost, I don't want to say 1-to-1, but it was really
It was
close.
pretty fucking close. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
It was great. It was done so well. That game is so good. If I could just will any remaster into the world or a remake, I would a remake of Dante's Inferno. Yes,
Yeah.
please. I know people shit on it when it came out for being like a God of War clone or whatever, but dude, that
Yeah.
story was so cool. It was such a
Yeah.
cool telling of that.
And I was
of
just
that
hoping
tale.
that we'd get more of it, but
And the little
clearly.
fighting the lust demoness and the little monsters coming out of her nipples. Like, what are we looking
Yeah.
at? What is this? It's impaling the little aborted babies on your scythe and flinging them across hell. Like, come on, man.
Well, that's a reason it won't get remade.
The most
for sure.
fucked up thing I've ever played, but it was so much fun, man. It was so well done. It was so cool.
I feel like Agony was worse, and that was a bad experience.
Yeah, Agony was bad though. Although I just got an email that they're doing a VR.
I saw.
It's coming in VR.
Yeah,
that might be cool.
Succubus.
And Succubus. It might be cool if the gameplay didn't suck so bad. I wanted to like Agony. I like any game that takes me to hell is cool. I've got a weird thing with hell and demons and all that. I think that shit's cool as fuck. But anything that takes me to hell is cool. So I gave Agony a fair shot. Like
You did. I
a
remember.
fair shot. But the gameplay was so abysmally bad.
Yeah.
Ugh. Ugh. No,
Yeah.
but maybe in
with
VR.
a side order of ugh.
Yeah, no shit. Maybe in VR that would be good.
Cool.
Who knows?
All right, guys. Well, as always, we can do this all day, and
Yep.
we love to chat. We appreciate your time as always. We hope you enjoyed our visit. We're happy to see you and hear you. We hope that we can connect in the near future with some of you out there when the world
Yeah,
is a better place to visit. you
absolutely.
know. But yeah, till next time, we hope you guys have a great week. Stay safe, take care, have fun.
See you guys.